Welcome to my class, and in this we are going to understand the definition of statistics in the singular sense. So again, let me just reiterate COPAI. So what is that? Collection of data, organization of data, then presentation of data, analysis and interpretation of data. So all of that we are going to do. So let's just take this up. So talking about collection of data, how do you collect data? So collection of data, well, it is the first step in the statistical study and is the foundation of any statistical analysis. So important thing is that the data should be collected with maximum care by the investigator. And the collection of data depends upon the objectives of the study. So talking about that, let's just quickly look at what could be collection of data. Is it primary, secondary? Then you if it is a primary, how did you census or sample? And if it's a secondary, is it published or not, unpublished data? And then if it is even published data, you find that the primary data that they collected for census method can be used as secondary data by somebody else for some other purpose. And we also have the National Sample Survey Organization. Now we come to the second one, having talked about collection of data, and we will be doing each one in great detail later on, but right now it's just that we are defining it in the singular sense. Now we come to organization of data. So how do you organize? So it has to be organized by editing and classifying so that it becomes easy. So it can be in the forms of how do you organize data basically? Just remember, the data that you've collected is what is known as raw data. Now important thing is to get it into some semblance of organization or planning. So in the organization, you arrange the raw data into what is known as series, and then you have what is known as the individual series, the discrete series, and what you have the class interval series. And also basis of classification is thought about. Is it on the basis of time, or is it on the basis of place, or it's a quantitative, based on quantitative or qualitative classification, and all of that. And then we come to what is known as presentation of data. Now look at this. So now again, remember, we are doing statistics in the singular sense, and all of this we are going to study. Each one is a chapter in itself later on. So in presentation of data, we have what is known as tabular presentation, schedules, as we've already done them in, you can see that it is in rows and columns when we present them. Then the second one is diagrammatic presentation, which means that we have the geometric forms and we have those bar diagrams and pie diagrams. Then we also have something known as frequency diagrams, where we have the histogram, the polygon, and the ogives, the more than, less than ogives. Made those little tiny stamp-like drawings to show you that. And of course we have what is known as the arithmetic line graphs, like time series line graphs, as you can see. Okay, so this is all presentation of data which we learn here, and if we use it in our theory when we are studying or we are presenting any research report or a report we make, and if we present it this way, it becomes easy to understand, easy to comprehend. That's why presentation of data becomes so important. And then we have, okay, and these are known as statistical tools anyways, and now we have what is known as the interpretation and analysis of data. So what do we have here? We have what is known as measures of central tendency, where we work out the averages. Then we have measures of dispersion, how much away is it from the average. So we are talking about the extreme values, we bring that into view. And then we also talk about correlation. That means we have done scatter diagrams as such, and when we were doing law of demand and law of supply, etc., in microeconomics. So that is scatter diagram. Then measures of correlation. In that we have Carl Pearson's method of the two variable ungrouped data, and we also have Spearman's rank correlation. And then of course very important is index numbers. So in that we have consumer price index, wholesale price index, and index of industrial production, and the use of index numbers. Why it's so important? Actually, it is so important because it gives us a fair comparison between the current year prices upon the base year price into 100. It gives you, they are specialized averages. They let you know how much has there been a change or in the price, or that shows how much growth is there in the economy actually. Now looking at the last bit, what you see is the different stages of study, statistical study. So side by side you have what is known as say when you're talking about collection of data, you have census or sample techniques. Those are the statistical tools. When you're doing organization of data, you have the array of data with tally bars, etc. You can find out what do you want to do, what sort of frequency you want, or it's an individual, or how do you want to group them singly or in the class interval series. Then you have presentation. In the third stage, it's presentation of data. That means into tables, graphs, and diagrams. And in stage 4, we have what is known as analysis of data, in which we do the percentages and the correlation, etc. And what do you have, dispersion, etc. And then we have what is the interpretation. That means here we're talking about the magnitude of percentages or the degree of relationship between different economic variables in order to make our study more comprehensive and comprehensible and relative to what we are trying to say. So in the next class we are going to do statistics in the plural sense.